Good morning, gearheads, and welcome to Speed City F1. We are a pre-race show for the 8th round of the Formula One season with the Monaco Grand Prix just 1 hour away. I hope you have yourself a fresh cup of coffee as we kick off this greatest day in motorsports. This is Jon Massengale. I am the gentleman driver of the team, if you will, but not to worry. I am joined by the professionals, starting with my friend across from me here.
The George
Kurtz. Yes.
Rather fast gentleman driver.
And that's Jonathan Green, the voice that you recognize from 2 and 4-wheel motorsports, and former ESPN pit reporter Jonathan Green.
Yo,
how are you, buddy?
I'm very well. And I tell you what, if you, like you said, now to go to the race, if you didn't see qualifying, just get mouth-wateringly on it, because this will set you up. I've not seen a qualifying session as impressive as yesterday.
It was very exciting.
It was top draw, and it went right to the last inch, quite literally.
And that microphone that you hear out in Monaco is the Chris Medland with the inexhaustible insider knowledge. His microphone and sharp elbows is ready to grab us interviews. Chris, good afternoon to you. It looks like a beautiful day in Monaco. How are you?
Good afternoon, team. I am very, very good. Should we get the best day in racing started?
Let's do it. You bearded Sage, you. Hey, we got a question, Sage.
Oh, go for it.
Why didn't our man Crawford get all his points? He seems like he only got 13 for the win.
He did only get 13 for the win. I explained that to him on an interview that we're going to run with him.
Well, there you go. This is what I love about you, Sage. You're on it.
You'll get your answer when we hear.
Good. Don't spoil it.
But then that's a tease. Everyone can wait for that now.
Yeah, and
I mean, basically, John's been having conniptions.
I know. I've been running up and down the standings and points, going, wait a minute, he should have gotten 25. But Chris, the big news, of course, is that Jack Crawford, the American in Formula 2, has moved up the standings again because he got another win. He got a win in Monaco, so we'll hear from him. Chris caught up with him, so really exciting stuff. But yeah, guys, this is the day of motorsports. We've got Monaco coming up here in an hour. We got the Indy 500 later today, the Coca-Cola later on, and
is Kyle doing both?
Yes. When you said yesterday in the post-qualifying show, you said, "What about the double?" And you were referring to McLaren. I didn't know if you were referring to...
No, I was referring to McLaren, yeah.
Yeah.
But, no, that Carl Larson, of course, Hendricks Motorsport is doing, well, he's doing the Indy 500. He's qualified well, it's his second, and he's could be doing the Coca-Cola 600, which we presume he will.
We shall see. But Chris, I said it looks like a beautiful day. Give us your eyes and ears.
Yep.
It's an absolutely gorgeous day. The sun's out. It's not too hot. The water's still on the harbour, so all the boats are just bobbing away, and there's a huge, enormous queue to get into the pit lane. So I am currently stood on the outside of Rasgas, between the harbour and the track circuit.
As long as you're on the outside.
I'm talking 2 yards from barrier to me, and then another 3 yards to water. So I'm right in between the two. But,
have you ever had the embarrassing thing of walking past there early morning when you're going for your breakfast down to the media centre and you see somebody staggering out?
No,
it's not. Yeah, not a good look.
I actually stay out in Nice, so about a 45-minute drive along the coast to be able to get in, because as you can probably imagine, it's not cheap to stay in Monaco. So
I used to stay in Menton.
I miss all of those sites.
I used to take the train from Menton.
Lovely.
Yeah,
which is just a few miles in the other direction towards the Italian coast. So it's a beautiful part of the world, listeners. If you've never been before, you should definitely do it any time of year.
Yeah, that I did exactly what you did, Chris, when I went to Monaco State in Nice. But hey, speaking of Nice, now that's right next to the Cannes Film Festival, right?
Yep. Yes, of course it is. Yep.
Yeah, and so hey, Chris, have you? I was just wondering. I haven't watched any coverage of that. I wonder if they did any sort of presentation for the F1 movie.
They did at Cannes. Yes, they did.
Okay, I assume they would have. That's cool. Chris, you should have gone to that too.
Yeah, just a second. I'm trying to make sure I can work out my way to get in here. I realise I might be in the wrong queue here.
Oh, we're going to witness you getting thrown out by the French police. This is good.
Well, nearly, yeah. I'm joining some team members to just barge our way through, but we're trying to work it out. We've got no idea why it's impossible to get into the pit lane, but we have to do that by a certain time, thanks to regulations as well. Because if you don't do that quickly enough, as Max Verstappen waits for a lift, he gets a lift. It's reserved for drivers and mechanics only, so I don't get that treatment. But we have to be in and through the pit lane before they open it for the cars. So that's why it's so hectic at the moment, trying to make sure that everyone can get to where they need to go.
Just show them your Speed City Mike Cube, and they will roll out the red carpet.
it's a weapon, I must admit. It's a square plastic cube, and if it poked anyone, they would feel it, and it would hurt a lot.
Well, you know the labyrinth that is Monaco. So I had to go and get a COVID shot in the middle of the historic Grand Prix from a chemist by the station. So you can imagine that rigmarole.
A chemist or a
a pharmacy.
A pharmacist, yes. I like that.
So that was hard work.
All right. Well, while Chris gets in there, we will. I want to talk a little bit about last year real quick before we start. I went back and watched last year, and it was a tale of two. Actually, it was kind of a crazy thing if you remember. Remember on lap 1, Kevin Magnussen and Checo Perez came together. Remember, Magnussen was going around Checo.
Yep.
And they came together, and that ensued in a giant crash. Checo, his car was completely destroyed, and all 4 wheels busted off of the thing. It was basically a husk of a race car, as I like to call it. But it ended up in a 44-minute delay last year, if you recall.
And that's why they felt like they needed to do something.
Exactly, leading up to exactly what they've done this year, which they've added. Essentially, it's a tire rule, but essentially it adds a second pit stop because you have to use 3 sets of tires. And
the more I've studied it, the more interested I've got in it. I only have one caveat, and that's something I'd like the Sage to talk about, is we watched a Formula 2 race yesterday where Lindblad got a 10-second penalty, quite rightly, for taking our boy out. And that's Crawford, that is. But then try to back up the whole field so that, so he could then jump and close the gap and try to create a gap that was enough to get points, which he did. It was quite a masterful drive, but I just don't want to see a race where one guy is just backing it. Behrman comes in on lap 1 and then backs the whole world up.
Yeah. Chris,
don't forget, if my mic is holding up at this point, don't forget that Haas did something similar when Kevin Magnussen was getting penalties in Miami last year, I seem to remember.
You're absolutely right.
Cheddar too. And at least with this, the intention isn't, with Lindblad, it was his own penalty that he was trying to fix. So he wasn't helping anyone else. He was ruining others' race for his own race as such. And he still then had to go very quickly. He had to really get his foot down at that point.
Yeah, it's one thing to
make up that 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's one thing to say that's what you got to do. It's another to pull it off at Monaco, right?
Absolutely. And he sadly didn't quite manage to, because he then caught the back of traffic ahead that he couldn't go any quicker because it was there. And that backed him back into the pack. And at one stage, he nearly got himself clear of about 4 or 5 different cars he was trying to beat. And sadly, it didn't work for him. For Jack, he was one of the cars that I think did get in a position as a result of that. So it worked out well for him. But yeah, I think that's just a quirk of this race that I actually don't mind, as long as they're not doing it to ruin the races of others for their teammate. I think that's when it's a bit frustrating, shall we say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it could really throw up some interesting things, Jonathan, like lap 1. We could see a bunch of people pitting lap 1.
Well, Ruth Buscombe, who of course is one of the ex-strategists, now TV, she did that with Sauber a few years ago, and she talked about it, and it pricked my interest because I was like, wow, okay, I get it, because what she was explaining was the first few laps at Monaco can't be as fast as when you're in free air because you're all nose to tail. So she said, look, it's timing-wise, it's a good thing to do.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
because you're not going to lose as much time as you would on lap 40, let's say. Now, that's,
Yeah.
But I got it. And then, of course, you have more control of slotting back in and potentially either going quick or going not as quick.
And then there's the other end of the race where somebody could gamble a little bit and not take their pit stop towards the end.
Yeah.
What if they do that and we have another big crash and they don't get to take their pit stop?
They will get a penalty.
Well, why don't we ask someone? Let's ask someone who would know. Ao Komatsu, the Haas pitcher. Ao, how do you play this in terms of strategy today?
That'll be really tricky. We got one car in top 10, one car at the back. So, we got to do something different. But, this mandatory 2-stop race in Monaco where you cannot overtake, it's very tricky to manage.
Are you expecting to see some cars coming in at the end of the first lap, trying to get it out of the way? Do you think anyone could do both stops straight away?
It's a possibility. Depends on how our teams choose to play it. So, I think you guys have an exciting time, actually, this afternoon.
Is there anything you're nervous about in that sense, though, or do you think this is a good addition?
I think it's good addition because obviously if you look at last year, it's once the pit stop or not pit stop tire change is done under red flag, you don't nobody can overtake, so it's very boring. So I think it just has lots of unknowns, and it's not like a conventional race where teams can go for optimum strategy. It's so much depending on what others will be doing, traffic, who's behind, who's playing what game. So I think it's gonna be pretty entertaining for you guys. Not sure about to us, but yeah.
I was going to say, it'd be stressful for you. Just finally, I bet you'd rather it be very boring because Esteban starting in 8 did a great job yesterday.
No, amazing. Honestly, to be honest, none of us saw that coming. You know, our focus was to trying to get into Q2 and then go as high as possible in Q2. But every single time, I think operation in qualifying yesterday was amazing. Very proud of what everyone achieved in this team yesterday. And then Esteban, every time he went out, he stepped up. And then, very happy to get P8. And then P6 wasn't that far either. You know, so that showed how good the car is. So that was really good.
Very impressive. Good luck today and enjoy it if you can.
I try. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's often forgotten. You know, we talk about Charles Leclerc being a Monegasque, and he is. But this is just as important to Ocon. This is his home race because there isn't, you know, that we don't go to the French Grand Prix or like as much as we used to anyway at Monaco. And so, yeah, this is a really important one for Ocon. So
how many drivers call Monaco? I know Lando, I saw a quote where he said, "It's not my home, but I have a bed here."
Yes. You know? Yeah, I mean, a large majority of the drivers live in Monaco. In fact, some of them living in the same apartment complex.
Huh, that I didn't know. All right, so
the David Coulthard run apartment complex, I hear.
Yeah.
I think David Coulthard does very well out of
funny.
helping drivers find a home in Monaco.
He's a real estate investor too.
Well, he had a part in a hotel. Has he still got that?
I do not know on that front, actually. I just know he's a very smart man when it comes to this. I think it was Alex Albon telling me that, his apartment came from DC. And then at one point, he walked out of his front door, and I can't remember who it was, maybe Danny Fiat at the time or someone like that, came out the door next to him. And he's like, these are all just passed on by DC.
That's hilarious.
Hey, Chris, I want to play this little clip that you did, that you grabbed a microphone when you got to do the Pirelli hot lap. Set that up a little bit.
Yeah, so for the first time ever, Formula One Monaco allowed Formula One to run the Pirelli hot laps program, which is when the teams that have road car divisions can run their road cars on the track, driven by professionals, sometimes by the real drivers, but rarely. And then passengers, guests normally, and sponsors can get a lap to see what it's like just to be on the track and get a little bit of a feeling for what it would be like if you're an F1 driver. So it's the first time this year, on Thursday, I managed to go out there and I got the authentic Monaco experience. I'll just say that for now.
Wow.
All right, then, here we go. A lap of the Monaco Grand Prix circuit with Andre de Cruz in the McLaren 720S. And we're on the pit straight, which looks ridiculously tight, even in a road car. And we're catching a Mustang. We're quicker than that. So that's 1-0 to McLaren over Ford. Sorry to the rest of America for outing them there, but brilliant on the brakes into Sandoval. So steep uphill. Stuck in traffic a little bit, but so steep up the hill towards Massengale Casino Square. And this car still does feel so planted, doesn't it, as we get up to Massengale. So fast left-hander. This is tight. Wow, you don't realise how much that tightens through there as well. Andre, this is your second lap, I think, right?
Today, yeah.
So we're still feeling our way around it, past the casino, avoiding the bump, which in an F1 car I'm sure is terrible as you head down to Mirabeau.
You know the place well.
Yeah, I've run it a few times. I've driven enough on the sim, and we're down into the old Lowe's hairpin, which is, I think, much more manageable with a steering rack on a road car than a Formula One car. Lovely bit of curb here as we head down to Portier, where Senna put it in the wall. We're all over the mirrors of this Mustang, but we can't find a way through. So in the tunnel, will they let us go? Thinking about it. Can't really get it wrong in here, can we? So we're going to have to sit back through the tunnel. This is the problem with overtaking in Monaco.
It's the real Monaco.
Yeah, we're getting the full experience. We hit the brakes into the Nouvelle chicane, come out of there so quickly, and this again, the second part's so tight. See the barriers, and we're down the inside. What a move into Tabac ahead of the Mustang. So we've made a place that nobody ever gets to see around this circuit. Through Tabac into the swimming pool. This is incredible in an F1 car. Actually, in a road car, it feels much slower because I guess it has to be, but that's where you see the downforce in an F1 car. and through the final part of the swimming pool to end the lap, slow it down at Rashkas.
So that was over so quickly, stuck right
It's a quick lap, but it's a great lap, Andre.
It's a coolest place. But...
Really appreciate it. You're going to have an absolute blast the rest of the day driving these cars around here.
Wow.
That's pretty cool, Chris. It was the audio was 2 minutes and 8 seconds.
That's pretty quick.
That's not bad. Not bad, buddy.
That was from static as well. You start on just the exit of Raskas before the final corner, and you were static at that point. So he went from 0 to, I reckon he went up to nearly 60 before the final corner. Actually, when I got out the car, he got told he has to drive slowly through the final corner in future before starting his lap. So he got told off for going too quickly with me.
And Chris, just explain to the crowd, to the audience. I mean, you know, at most Grand Prix tracks on a Wednesday or Thursday, you run the track or whatever, walk the track. You don't get a chance to go in a car around Monaco. That is so rare.
Yes, big time. I mean, like I said, it happens at other venues because, of course, they're generally closed venues. This being a street circuit, they have to open it up. They run so much here to make use of the weekend. So Thursday sees practice for Formula 2 and Porsches as well. There's a lot of track action. And also, if anything goes wrong, the impact, it's so narrow here, getting the cars off, getting barriers repaired, getting the track cleaned, and getting it open again each evening just is too big. So they're not able, it's not safe, really, to normally do it. But obviously, they've now trusted Pirelli. You also, logistically, have to be able to find places to keep the cars when they're not on track. This place is so tight and so small that there's nowhere just to park a fleet of supercars ready to roll out and go and do those laps easily. You have to find someone to keep them, find a way of getting them down onto the circuit. It's a real logistical challenge. And that's for, the Pirelli Hot Laps program. Think about Formula 3 doing that, Formula 2 doing that, Porsche Super Cup doing that.
Yeah.
The Formula 3 cars drive down a little one-way street, miles up in the hills, basically. You could be sat out on a terrace having a coffee, and you'll have these Formula 3 cars suddenly roll by on wet tyres because they don't want to use up any of their slicks. It's remarkable the way
That's
the
cool.
logistics come together.
All right, Chris, we got to get a sneak break in here real quick. And when we come back, we'll continue our coverage of the Formula 1 Monaco Grand Prix right after this. All right, let's check in with the YouTube boys and girls. Let's see.
I need to explain Sage to Mr. Bowles. Sage is a wise one.
It's a spice, isn't it?
Well, it is.
It's
an antiquated name for a wise man.
Yes, that's true. All right, let's see. TW's
a
there.
Wise man. I might be able to get Mario Isola if you like.
He is a
he's the man of the day with the pit stop situation going on here. TW's here. Mike Bowles, like as you mentioned, are both here. All right. It's still early. We got a handful of people watching. Jump in, people. Jump in on the chat. TW says, sounds like someone is talking from experience.
I think that's the early morning from Rascas.
Yep.
Yeah.
I left my wallet.
That doesn't surprise me. Chris, so where are you now?
I'm on the grid. I'm stood by Mario Isola, who is just doing a TV interview. I am next to, I believe, is Max Verstappen's grid spot.
Ah, very cool.
So a man I also want to get is Laurent Mekies, given that Isaac Hadjar's going from 5th and Liam Lawson from 9th.
Yeah, awesome.
How long have we got left in the break?
Yeah, that performance.
What do we got, Casey? How long is left in the break? 30 seconds.
Yeah, that RB performance, both Hadjar and Lawson, excellent. Great for Lawson. He needed it. But Hadjar continues to be just so consistent.
Hey, Johnny Green, while we're still on YouTube, you asked me to get you something in Monaco, and I did.
Oh, my word.
In Miami, excuse me, not Monaco.
Oh, you are a star. Oh,
and
man.
And it's got the year on it, sort of.
Oh, man.
I know that's what you wanted.
Do I take the plastic bag off?
You can or can't. If you want to use it as a rain hat.
Yeah, it's a rapper style with the...
There you go. Show the audience.
I'm George Russell, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
All right, we're going to go straight back out to Monaco to Chris Medland.
Thank you very much, Sean, because I have got Mario Isola here, the head of Pirelli Motorsport. And Mario, you are the man of the moment because I saw your Pirelli strategy guide for this weekend. It says you have to use 3 sets of tyres. All 3 tyres are usable compounds. Anything can happen. And there was no strategy.
It's difficult to predict strategy this weekend. As you said, all the 3 compounds can be used, but especially for Red Bull, Racing Bulls, and Sauber, they decided to keep in their allocation only 1 set of hard and 1 set of medium. So they have to use the soft at some point. I cannot exclude we have other teams using the soft, because if you are out of position on the grid, like Mercedes, and you want to get rid of traffic, then soft at the beginning with a short stint and an early pit stop could be an option. But there are so many options with also the high probability of safety car that is really difficult to make a prediction.
We know it's going to be at least 2 stops. We say mandatory 2 stops, but it could be more if it needed to be more. But based on that, is strangely, knowing that there'll be at least 2, is this the most uncertain strategic race in the dry that you've ever known?
Probably yes, because that's new situation for everybody. I spoke to some teams. They are really, I don't want to use the word confused, but they struggle to understand which is the quickest strategy on paper, while in other races we have good simulation tools that are giving us an idea. So it's really a funny Sunday.
Is this always been the intention, though, when this idea was proposed? Or did you think it would be a bit more obvious what everyone would want to do?
The original idea, I believe, was to create a bit more action in Monaco that we know is difficult to overtake. And last year, due to a red flag at the beginning of the race, was a race without any stop. So that was the initial idea. But now we realize that it's a bit more than this.
Well, it's going to be great, though, to watch. How are you going to follow it? How are you going to stay on top of it all?
I would be interested to see, and I'm trying to understand with the teams which is their. They are very jealous, and they don't want to tell me which is the strategy. But I'm sure we will see different strategies.
We're looking forward to watching it. Mario, thank you for your time.
Excellent.
Nice, Chris.
You know, he brought up Mercedes, and that is a good one to bring up because they start 14th and 15th, and obviously they're faster than that because both of them had problems, one mechanic or one electrical and the other Antonelli crashing into the wall. But given that they start next to each other, you've got to think that they'll use, they'll use Antonelli to help George Russell. Depending on how they start, but bottom line is, I think you'll see someone like Russell coming in early, as he predicted there, or Antonelli with a view to help. They'll try to. This will be the first time we'll really see the teams having to work, if they can, with each other. You heard Komatsu there talking about how they've got one at the front and one at the back. That's harder, but Mercedes definitely in a good position with them starting alongside each other and so far back. They have to throw the dice a little bit, as they say in Monaco. So we'll see. It's Casino Square.
Yeah. And I am envisioning all of the NASA-powered Whopper computers running all the different simulations about what could happen.
Well, I just love the fact that the head of Pirelli says, no strategy, can't predict it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I love that.
Love it.
I felt very sorry for the person who now does, this guy called Matt Hewson, who now does the F1 strategy guide that I used to do.
I know. I was reading it.
I get too busy over race weekends now. So he took it on, I think, start last season. And he came up to me last night and said, I know why you dropped this now. This is a disaster. It just said because the data came through was, who knows? Nobody has a clue. So they just, Pirelli went as far as saying, anything can happen. That's our strategy guide, which is great. I do think it's great excitement, great uncertainty that we really need to lean into, because when was the last time we were on the grid in Monaco ahead of a race and we weren't going, well, as long as Lando Norris gets a decent start, he's won, guaranteed. We're going, who knows what will happen?
Yeah.
It could all change. And I love that aspect because I don't think it took anything away from qualifying either.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Chris. It's so funny that we can't. There is no way to predict this, right?
Well,
there's just really no way.
Lando was brilliant yesterday in his post-qualifying interview for pole. He said, Jolyon said, well, what, have you thought about the strategy? He goes, no, I'm just going to live for the moment. Tonight, I'll think about it. But, I mean, that was a pure kind of answer, because why think about that? It was just pointless.
Yeah, why not? Just, go out and go racing.
But he's very different compared to his teammate on that front. So on Thursday, Piastri said he was trying to untwist his head, having had the first strategy meeting because it was so confusing. And Lando, literally 2 minutes later, sat down in the same spot to do his media briefing and said, no, I'm just not thinking about it. I kind of ignored it. I don't need to focus on it yet.
And they couldn't be more different, could they?
No, but you'd also have to say, weirdly though, we always talk about Piastri being the calm, chilled one, and Lando the overthinker.
Yeah.
And it's Lando being like, I don't care, and it's Oscar overthinking it. But I do think that you'd have to say it's worked for Lando so far with the lap he put in, the way he's approached it.
Yeah.
And these drivers are clever. They want to be involved in strategic choices, yes. But the teams employ a lot of people to get that stuff right for them. In a sense, he just needs to follow the orders he gets about when to pit and when to not. And if McLaren get it right, he'll have a great chance of winning the race. If they don't, then all bets are off. And you mentioned Antonelli and Russell there. I think we'll definitely see them split their strategies. One stopping very early, one stopping very late. Because, like you say, one will work, one will not. But I don't know if it will be that one is directly used to help the other because they're both so far out of position. I think they're just going to be saying, right, we're buying 2 lottery tickets with 2 totally different sets of numbers.
I think you're right.
Hey, Bob Varsha is not here today, in case anyone is looking for Bob's voice here, because he's actually working in Monaco. He's working on a cruise ship.
Bummer.
So, he's actually experiencing the Monaco. I say working. I think he's going to give one little speech and then enjoy the rest of the time. But he usually runs down the grid for us, and I'm going to try to do that here in just a few minutes. But as you mentioned, Lando Norris is on pole, and I want to play the post-qualifying clip from Mr. Lando Norris because I thought he was interesting. But first of all, we just want to hear from pole sitter. So let's hear from Lando Norris.
I mean, I didn't know I lost pole in the middle. I didn't know Charles went quicker. So it's, I was just doing my own thing, I guess, which I think is never easy to do, but it's important to do around here. It's just to get into your own rhythm and, just try and find bits of lap time and take a little bit more risk when you know you got to do it. But I think the important thing was I put in a good run 1, I put in a good run 2, lap 1, and then that just allows you to maybe take those few more risks on the final lap. And that allowed me to take those few more risks. Sorry, I got hiccups, and it paid off. So I think a good strategy, a good plan from the team is obviously what we thought was best, and that plan paid off, which is always a good feeling.
Now, I know it's not as simple as you did this one thing and suddenly everything feels better, but it does feel like you felt more comfortable with the car this weekend. How much confidence, is that true first, and does it give you confidence you can nail the win tomorrow?
I mean, considering it's Monaco, considering it's one of the trickiest tracks of the season, I think the confidence has been high, but I think it has been for us as a team. I think between Oscar and myself, we both felt good since FP1, but we've also been behind the Ferraris in every single session. So, we knew we had to still make some steps into quali and take another good step forward, but I think we were tied on lap times until the final run. And I just pushed that a little bit more and worked on those few more things, and it paid off. So, of course, it's a good feeling.
Best of luck tomorrow, Lando.
I wanted to play that because I've been thinking about Lando, how he started the year off as the favorite, right? Won the first 2 races, right? And then Verstappen won. Then Piastri.
No, he's only won 1.
You're right. You're right. Australia. That's absolutely right. So he starts off those season, but then he completely loses confidence, right? And you can feel it, you can hear it. And then I guess it was Chris. Maybe you can help me, but wasn't it along about Saudi where he just kind of made a mental shift and even said it, and he said, I'm just gonna head down or whatever. And then ever since then, he's started to look better. He hasn't won a race since then, but he's just looked better. And he, again, kind of like you were saying, Jonathan, he's now the relaxed one.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I don't want to overly predict this because the historians amongst you will say, oh, come on, you can't do that. But the Prost-Senna battles, because they were so different as characters, reminds me of this. Same team, different way of going about the same, problem. A lot of shenanigans towards the end of it, a lot of mental games. And it went for, it was a feud that went for a while. And this could lead to that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
well,
I could see that in that sense that it's very different. I was just going to pick up, Johnny, you said it was Saudi, I think, where he said that he was being too harsh on himself. and that he needs to stop chasing perfection or beating himself up when he doesn't achieve perfection.
Yeah.
But sometimes, aiming for perfection and getting 98% is going to be very good. And that doesn't mean you failed. It does mean you can still improve, but it doesn't mean you failed. So he was trying to change his mindset there a little bit. And I think we have seen that slowly paying off. I just wanted to paint a bit of a picture, actually, because I was pinned against the barrier in the shade briefly underneath the podium here on the grid while the top 4 cars came through into their grid spots. Max Verstappen's just been wheeled past me, genuinely like 2 feet away. And they have the dry ice in the cockpit from the moment the drivers get to the back of the grid. So he's got this like eerie dry ice just like floating around in the cockpit, and the steering wheel's just poking out over the top of it while he's trying to stay cool. But he's now jumped out. It's not that warm. It's nice. Not that warm. It's just to keep the drivers in optimum condition. And Max was just wheeled by, and I'm now free to roam the grid. And I've seen Piastri already doing a bit of debriefing before he leaves this grid. But I imagine most drivers struggle potentially the most all season on this very grid. This is so chaotic, so narrow, full of so many people. How you get your head clear, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's why they're the professionals. All right, let's get a quick break in, and you're listening to Speed City F1. Back after these messages. All right, let's check the YouTube and see what's going on out there.
People are chatting away.
Yeah, Kevin Kelly said something about Ali. Where was it? Let me scroll in here. He said, Ali in trouble, left a cooling fan.
Oh, Behrman.
Yeah, left a cooling fan on the car. Give us more, KK. Joe Voice to Base says he's up. Cole Trickle says how much longer till the race? I guess that was before the break. So we are, 27 minutes or so?
Do you reckon he's Do you think he's Dick Trickle's brother?
I think he must be. Has to be. Mike Bowles, where will Lando fail? What? Well, come on, man. Come on. Let's see.
To be fair, that's what a lot of people have been thinking.
Yeah.
Is that he's just very close, just no cigar type guy.
Well,
and I think it's interesting he makes that point, because if you were going to ask me, put me on the spot about what's important today, it's Lando. He has to win this one. And I don't want to get into hyperbole, but he, 4-1 right now, 4-2 sounds a lot better, and 13 points the difference. If it becomes 25 points the difference, and he throws it in the wall, Norris, at the first corner, big difference. Narrow it down to 6.
We're in round 8 of 24.
I know. but actually, it is when you look back at these things. Go on.
If they finish where they start, though, Johnny, it will be 1 point the difference.
That's true.
Charles is in between them.
Yeah.
There's a Ferrari down the front row.
And I said this yesterday. What do you think of my theory that, to a certain extent, Piastri might play the more conservative game within his team to say, look, we're in a good position. Challenging for the lead is, trying to overtake is precarious, especially when it's your teammate. Third will do me fine, thanks.
Potentially, I think with the strategy concerns or uncertainty, it would be hard to just take that approach. So
here we go.
Hello to everyone. This is Gunther Steiner. This is Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
There is a growing expense eating into your company's profits. It's your cloud computing bill. You may have gotten a deal to start, but now the spend is sky high and increasing every year. What if you could cut your cloud bill in half and improve performance at the same time? Well, if you act by May 31st, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure can help you do just that. OCI is the next generation cloud designed for every workload, where you can run any application, including any AI projects, faster and more securely for less. In fact, Oracle has a special promotion where you can cut your cloud bill in half when you switch to OCI. The savings are real. On average, OCI costs 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Join Modal, Skydance Animation, and today's innovative AI tech companies who upgraded to OCI and saved. Offer only for new U.S. customers with a minimum financial commitment. See if you qualify for half off at oracle.com/formula. That's oracle.com/formula. All right, Chris Medland, I know you're out there with your microphone, and I just saw Martin Brundle with a coat and tie, not a tie, but a suit on, and I just wondered what kind of competition are you giving him, Chris?
I'm not that smart. I'm wearing a shirt and jeans, but I have someone who's in full team kit. You just mentioned Oracle there. It's the sister team that Oracle sponsor. So Oracle sponsors Red Bull. I'm here with Racing Bull's team principal, Laurent Mekies. And Laurent, we're stood by Isaac Hadjar's car, and the number 5 is next to his grid slot, starting in the top 5 in Monaco with a rookie who hit the wall a couple of times this weekend as well. How impressive is that?
You know, it's a mega result for the team. It's a mega result for Isaac. Also for Liam, who also had a super fast weekend. So, you know, all together coming here on a track like that with 2 guys that discovered F1 around Monaco, I think it's they did an outstanding job, and the team with them. Now it's only a part of the job. Even if normally you would shoot for a boring race on Sunday in Monaco, but we know it's going to be very, very different today with the compulsory 2 stops. But you know, so far it's been faultless from the team, from Isaac and Liam, and we hope to be able to consolidate on that.
Yeah, it's incredible, as you say. Both rookies here. They've not raced here before, neither of them. Talking about that strategy, though, does that add nerves, excitement? I mean, everyone worries about maybe not staying where they are when they're starting high up. But technically, could you not go and finish on the podium today?
You know, I think there will be a lot more silly things than what anybody had anticipated initially when we decided to do this mandatory 2 stops. It's the combinations of the mandatory 2 stops and a track where it's very, very difficult to overtake makes it quite tricky and opens the door to a few silly possibilities. So we try to go in between the drops and use the car pace.
Just finally then, because we don't know how the race will pan out, but you said both drivers have done a great job so far. Isaac, how impressed have you been with his season? And for Liam, just how important was a weekend like this after the way his year's gone?
You know, I think it was really a breakthrough for Liam this weekend. It's not only because of Q3, it's because of how high up he has been in every practice sessions. And I think, you know, the speed has been finally, the speed was there. You know, we could see it on the data, but it's good to see laps together and a good result in qualifying. So I think it was a breakthrough. I'm sure there is more to come, and the next good race result will be the next step.
Well, good luck today. Thank you very much for your time, Laurent. As his car drowns us out, so we can't hear each other. He's got it for long anyway.
We can't even hear it, unfortunately.
That's how good your mic is.
Hey, Jonathan, so 2 races wasn't enough for Liam Lawson?
As in?
When he was at Red Bull. Now, you know, I'm saying they only gave him 2 races, right?
Yeah.
And now Laurent Mekies is giving him a proper chance at this.
Absolutely. And he's out-qualified Tsunoda, full stop. Both of them have. Yeah. That says a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
It really does. But I've got a question for you, Chris. While the maelstrom continues, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think people would be interested, especially if they're coming to this for the first time going, 2 stop? Well, so what's so crazy about that? That's normal. 2 stops, 1 stop makes no difference. Well, no. Explain when you can and can't come into the pits. Why, whether it be a safety car or because it happened for Crawford, didn't it? So just explain when and when you can't come in.
Yeah, well, actually, strangely, it's only in Formula 2 that you are restricted. So in Formula 1, you can make your pit stop at any time. But that is true. Like in Formula 2, you can't under a virtual safety car. In Formula 1, you can.
Okay.
Now, that's why people will want to jump on incidents to take advantage of a chance to make a pit stop.
Everything slows down,
lose less time. Yeah, when you're under virtual safety car, everyone on track is moving much more slowly. Yeah. And if they're all moving more slowly, then you lose less time making your pit stop at that point when you are going slowly in the pit lane.
Right.
So you want that timing. But of course, Monaco is almost guaranteed to have an interruption like that of some kind.
Sure.
Some sort of incident that would really mix things up. So you're trying to make sure your strategy lets you take advantage of that. But you don't know if that incident will be at the start, when all the cars are together. Will it be later, when people are maybe a bit more desperate? Will it be someone with a reliability issue? That's the gamble part. That's the unknown part that's really confusing people here. And the fact that it's a mandatory 2 stop means normally here you would try and all you had to worry about was getting off the line cleanly, because you can't be overtaken really once you've started the race, and then timing your pit stop so you don't lose a position in the pits.
Yeah.
And you only had to do that once during the race, because it didn't matter if your tires were going to wear out. It didn't matter how slow you went, you were still going to be able to hold your position. But because you have to make 2 pit stops, that's 2 times you need to create a gap to make your pit stop and come out into clean air, or at least not behind another driver that might be racing you. And in order to do that, that means you need to go quicker, because we saw it with Charles Leclerc last year. We've seen it a number of times. If you're the lead car, you actually drive very slowly. You keep the field bunched up. Nobody behind you can try and undercut. They can't make a pit stop, put on fresh tyres, and maybe get ahead of you. So you keep the field close together. And then once others do start making their pit stops, that will create openings for you to make your own stop into. But now you can't do that because you need to pit twice. So you need to create gaps in the field. So the pace of the race should be higher. And that could lead to more jeopardy, more incidents as well. So that's why there's so many unknowns.
That is the word of the day, jeopardy. That is absolutely. As they go up on the siding lap, just say to yourself, what's the jeopardy?
Yeah, I mean, that's Monaco for you. All right, well, Chris, if we've got a moment, I'm going to try to sneak in the grid. I'm not going to do the full Bob Varsha version, but I just want to give everybody a rundown if you don't have somebody lined up.
You go for it. Most people have made their way to the front of the grid for the national anthem in about 3 minutes, so I think your timing's very good.
All right, well, let's just run down the grid here, because we've got Lando Norris in the McLaren on the pole. I think about 45% of the time the pole winner has won Monaco, but not with these new rules, so we'll see how that plays out. Followed behind him is Charles Leclerc, who led most of the practice sessions all weekend, and put in a fantastic lap, but Lando pipped him right there with just a fantastic lap. Then the other McLaren, Piastri, in third position, and your championship leader with Oscar Piastri. And then behind him, Max Verstappen, starting in fourth in the Red Bull, and followed by Isaac Hadjar. We just heard from his boss and in the RB. And then followed by Fernando Alonso in sixth position.
Which is a story in itself.
It really is. It's fantastic. In fact, we've got a clip from Alonso we'll play in here in just a minute. And behind Alonso in seventh, Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari. And
that's a 3-place penalty for impeding Mr. Verstappen.
Exactly. It dropped him down from fourth to seventh, and that's why some of the other drivers are in a higher position. And in the eighth position, Esteban Ocon in the Haas. We heard from his boss earlier. Fantastic for the Haas team to start in eighth. And then, of course, Liam Lawson. We just heard from Lauren Mecky's talking about Liam Lawson in ninth position, his best qualifying of the year. Followed by the Williams, Alex Albon in 10th position, and then his teammate, Carlos Sainz, in 11th. Followed by Yuki Tsunoda, not a great qualifying for Yuki, in 12th. And followed by Nico Hülkenberg in the Sauber, which is actually pretty good for the Sauber this year. And then in 14th and 15th, the two Mercedes, Russell and Antonelli. And not where they're looking to start, but we shall see how these pit stops can play out with them, maybe some interesting strategy. And in 16th, Gabriel Bortoleto in the other Sauber, and in 17th, Gasly, 18th, Colapinto, those two Alpine drivers, followed by Lance Stroll in the other Aston Martin, and of course, Ollie Behrman with his 10-spot grid penalty back of the pack.
He got unlucky with that.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't see a red flag.
Yep. Yeah, well, you say unlucky. I didn't get to really analyze that, but what he was saying is that, that he couldn't slow his momentum, essentially.
Fair enough.
So, Chris, I just want to check in. I'm watching
Chris Gale, the cricketer.
Okay, that's who that is.
Yeah,
we're watching Martin Brundle.
He's wearing a picnic basket.
He's wearing a tablecloth.
Yes.
Yeah. Chris, what do you got, buddy?
I've hidden myself behind Oscar Piastri's car on the grid because they're about to go to the national anthem, and I'll admit, this end of the paddock is so packed. So while they go to the anthem, everyone will clear after that, and hopefully we can get a word with Zach Brown.
Yeah, that'd be good. So he had a unique plan, did Zach? That it was going to rain at Indy, and he could see the race Monday.
Oh yeah. Yesterday when we talked to him, he was going to try to hoping for a rain delay so he could get back to watch the race. But you know what? I promised we were going to play a clip. Fernando Alonso, with his position today, he was very excited, honestly. He's starting sixth now that he had the penalty for Hamilton.
Oh, McDreamy's made a...
Oh, that was Patrick Dempsey? Yeah. But let's hear from Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, it's one of those days that you enjoy driving and you enjoy racing so much. Saturday in Monaco is one of the best feelings when you push that small amount over the limit of comfort, and you still finish the lap. And yeah, P7 I think is a good result for us and good starting point. And tomorrow is going to be very tactical with the new regulations. We need to be alert. We need to be focused and hopefully score the first points of the season for me.
It feels like the team is operating at such a high level. You know, when you haven't got the performance there, you're finding other ways to find the performance. Is that what it feels like, that you're kind of high level there?
Yeah, I think so. I think we found ourselves a little bit slower than expected in terms of package and in terms of car performance at the beginning of the year. But, you know, it seems that the new package that we introduced in Imola brought a decent level now of performance. And as you said, we kept always you know, creative in the way of trying to score points in other ways. And yeah, let's see tomorrow. In a way, you know, I would like that it's an all Monaco rules and a boring race, starting P7, finish P7. But no, it's going to be this tactical race. Anything can happen. I think people out of the points will try to be different in terms of a strategy, and we have to be alert on that.
Good luck tomorrow. Thank you.
You know, Fernando has kind of made a mental shift in my mind. I'm just listening to him where he's kind of accepting where he is in his career and looking at it a little differently, hasn't he?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. He's lost the angst. He's sated. That radio message after his qualifying lap said it all yesterday, and he just reiterated it there.
That's what it is.
He's enjoying his racing, and the fact that he can still do it at this age, I think is hugely satisfying. It does, interestingly, though, he made a point. You get to score points. Stroll scored all the team's points so far.
That's true. It's true. All right, well, let's get our last break in real quick, and we'll be right back with about 10 minutes before the Monaco Grand Prix. We were just watching a replay of last year. Casey, I've got a photo, actually, of Checo's car after the start last year that was just totally destroyed, turned it into what I called a husk of a race car with awful wheels off.
Thailand's vote is a double Sainz. So Sainz to win the race, smooth operator, and Sainz to run the FIA.
Oh, I like that.
That's TMW in Udon.
I do like that.
Ooh, look at this. I'm just watching Karun looking at some Porsche stuff where somebody's made a real mess of the track.
Oh, that was earlier, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we've had some big crashes, some really big ones. The F2 one as well was pretty messy at the start of that one. That took out 7 cars in turn 1.
Well, I want to jump right into.
Came together.
I want to jump right into Jack Crawford when we come back.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, do that unless I'll interrupt if I get anyone because people are just moving on the grid now. So
okay.
Well, I'm talking about your interview that you sent in, the recorded one.
Yeah, I know. I just mean that if I don't want you to play it, I'll jump in.
Oh, okay, got it.
So not too much. It's interesting that Kevin Kelly got the Ollie in trouble. Team left a cooling fan in the car. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard anything about that, Chris?
No, sadly I wasn't in view of the screen at the time, and because Ollie's right at the very back of the grid, I haven't got that far.
Yeah,
back.
good point.
So I'm behind Piastri's car, but I mean, I guess it can't get any worse for him. He's already starting last.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
So have you done anything fun, or is it all work?
Sadly, it's all work now. I did go on a big yacht, a big cruise ship yesterday morning for the announcement of a new extension of a global partnership with F1.
Fair enough.
That was still work.
Okay, so
it's a 9 a.m. start.
You don't get to count. You get to count the Pirelli hot lap ride as work and fun. So.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, both. That is both.
There's an interesting conversation. Nui talking to Horner.
Yeah.
I'm Liam Lawson, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
All right, Chris, I'm going to jump straight into this interview with Jack Crawford unless you want to interrupt me because you've got somebody ready.
Not right at this second, no, so go for it.
All right, well, Chris got to catch up with the American Formula 2 driver, Jack Crawford. We're really watching Jack to see how he does this year, and he did a fantastic job. Let's hear from him.
Jack Crawford, you are a race winner in Monaco. How does that sound?
Wow, crazy. I can't believe it. I mean, waking up this morning, knew I was starting 7th. I thought maybe I could get, a P3, a P4 with a good strategy. But, the luck like this is crazy. I mean, I've been quite unlucky at the start of the year, and to get this back, it feels like I've been repaid a bit. So, I mean, wow, it was a crazy race and a crazy even 2 laps trying to decide what to do under safety car. I mean, I slowed up on the pit entry just in case of the opportunity to make it in the pit lane, and it was just perfect timing. So.
Well, yeah, let's talk through that first. You were under virtual safety car, so you're not allowed to pit. Question actually from fans, listeners, viewers, myself. Why are you not allowed to pit under virtual safety car, but you are allowed to pit under safety car?
I don't know, and that's a F2 specific rule. They don't have that in F1. Yeah, it was. I had actually, when it was still green, I was watching the screens and saw that there was a yellow on the screen, and I had already slowed down 3-4 seconds right before that, just in case there was going to be a safety car, and it didn't come out, so I just kept going. I sped back up, and then virtual safety car. I was like, oh, I could have gone in the pits, and then was driving around 0 on my Delta, and then I saw the crash and thought, oh, this could be a safety car, And I was saying to the team, be ready, just in case it's safety car last minute. And exactly what happened. Same thing. I slowed down a lot right before the pit entry. And, I saw safety car on the board. I took a hard ride and barely made it in. So it was perfect timing.
Well, that jumped you ahead of all 3 cars that were ahead of you. You were at 4th at that point. The guy I just want to quickly touch on, though, Leonardo Fornaroli, who had been leading, finishes 2nd in this race. He hasn't won in over 100 junior races now, the reigning F3 champion. Do you feel a bit sorry for him on the other side of the coin today?
I mean, yes. I mean, it happens in F2 where I've been in the position where, I think I've got it done, and then it gets taken away from you for things out of your control sometimes. And it's just, how it is, and especially around here in Monaco, anything can happen. So, yeah, I feel for him. It was his race to win at the end. He did a good job leading and managing the race up until that point. But, I'm super happy that, the luck fell my way.
Yeah, you took advantage of the opportunity that was there for you. Can't argue against that. Also been a strong weekend for you, though, across both races. Solid points. The top 2 in the championship, or top 3, I think, getting involved in incidents at the start of this feature race, puts you 5th. 14 points off the championship lead because it was only a half points race today, off 13 points for you because it's a column 2 race, they call it. How do you feel, though? Do you feel like you've now closed up, or have I just disappointed you to let you know the gap's not bigger?
A little bit, yeah. I was confused. They said I was 5th in the championship. I was trying to work it out in my head. I was thinking I scored like 25 points, but...
13 for you today, it turns 13.
Out. Did I get fastest lap as well?
No, that's just for winning. I'm not sure who got fastest lap, but it wasn't on your total.
Okay, so yeah, to take the points, more points than anyone else scored today, so happy with that. And yeah, it's great to put me back up there. I feel like I lost some points in the first 2 rounds, and especially in Bahrain. So yeah, great to get those points, and now going to a track in Barcelona, which I really like, and we've done well at in the past last year.
All right, we're going to hear the rest of that interview later, but Chris Medland has Zach Brown. Go, Chris.
Yeah, I have. I've grabbed Zach Brown. He didn't know I was behind him. But Zach, are you ready to get the best day in racing started?
I am. I'm excited. In the 5 minutes till the lights go out, in about 8 hours until the IndyCar Indy 500 greens is dropped, being paced by my buddy Michael Strahan. So I'm excited. What a great day.
And you're in with a real chance of winning both of these races. I mean, growing up as a kid, do you ever think you'd be in this position on a Sunday morning in May?
No, dreamed about it. But hey, neither race has started yet. So we got a long way to go. But I think we're in a good starting position in both.
And how do you go about winning this one, at least? Is it just about the start or strategy? Like, is it nervy?
It's definitely nervy because I think with this mandatory 2-stop strategy, I think it's going to encourage some people that aren't at the front to maybe take some risk. And you don't know when safety cars may or may not come out. I think it's good that we got both cars at front, and we're in a good place on tires.
And I know you're going to Indy. You told us yesterday you're going to Indy after the race. But when do you make these movements? How are you going to watch the 500 if it starts on time?
I think my hotel room. Hopefully with a cigar and a whiskey. We'll see. We'll see how we do here. What mood I'm in.
Well, good luck today, both here and on the other side of the pond as well.
Thank you.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That was the question. I loved it. Did you ever imagine one Sunday morning in May that you'd be here? And it's just absolutely boyhood hero stuff, isn't it? I mean, he's living the dream.
It's so funny when you Google Zach Brown the first thing that starts coming up is racing driver.
Yeah.
And don't you love that? Because
I love it, yeah.
he is
a very good one.
Well, not just that, but that's what he really wants to be.
Of course.
He wants,
like all of us.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Like all of us. We can't do it, so we get as close as we can.
Yeah.
And so for him, being a team boss is
and there's the way Monaco is set up. You've got huge grandstand on your left, which is actually at the exit of the second part of the swimming pool chicane before Raskas. And then you've got the now 4 leveled pit building on your right. So it's like a really narrow kind of corridor. And he's walking down there doing that interview, and you've got fans shouting at him from the left-hand side in that grandstand, looking down, and they're spotting all of the drivers and team bosses as they wander back. So now it's just a parade of guests and media people, and Naomi Schiff's to my left, who I should congratulate, who recently announced her pregnancy. Naomi, I'm going to ask you a quick question. Sky Sports' Naomi Schiff. Who's winning today, and how are they winning?
Well, that's $1 million question. Every year there would be a straightforward answer. This time around, I think we're going to see a big mix-up. So can't answer the question because we truly don't know what's going to happen with these new rules.
See, we were going to predictions, and we got a non-prediction. What about that?
I actually think that sums up the day because Naomi knows her stuff. She's paid to give those predictions, but she can't.
Happen, right?
Very true. Just a sec. I'm going to get Naomi back on mic.
As Pirelli said in their predictions, anything can happen. So anything might happen.
That's the best bit about this race today, isn't it? Absolutely great that we don't know for sure. So it's just the thing that I think is potentially the best change they've done to Monaco in a long time. Potentially. We'll see it play out, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh, let's see. I was just listening to Chris Mike. Sorry. So we got 2 minutes left, and before we go to predictions,
I don't think we're going to do predictions today.
I think it's really true. I mean, I was just.
Sorry, yeah, I told you it was a parade of media personnel.
Yeah.
The one on my right is on my wife. We're making our way down the stairs.
Introduce yourself.
Making our way down the stairs off the pit lane over to the other side. So, Jessica Medland, who do you think is going to win today's race?
Oh, blimmin' heck. Wasn't expecting this. I really don't know. I mean, I'm sure you've already been talking about this, but this is crazy, right? So let's go for homeboy Leclerc. Ferrari win.
There we go. We actually got a prediction.
There you go.
As Jack Doohan goes the other way. Yeah, we got an actual prediction. So just even if you're wrong, at least you predicted it because Naomi bottled it.
Yes,
like
she did.
Me, we just said anything can happen. So that's it. But these guys seem to be able to get off air before we do. So I've just had to fight through the crowd while we're still live. They're all done. They're going to go and sit back and watch this incredible race at this incredible setting. It could not look a more pretty picture right now.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, I just watched a replay on social media of the Formula 2 Turn 1 crash. And that was a crazy pile
I haven't
up.
seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's officially get our predictions in. I'll go first. I am going to say I'm going to go, well, let's see. Chris's wife said Leclerc. I'm going to go Piastri, Leclerc, Norris. Greeny?
Piastri, you went Piastri?
Yeah.
Leclerc, Norris. I'm going to go Lando, Verstappen, Piastri.
Chris?
I'm going to go Norris, Verstappen, Hadjar.
Oh, wow. I love that. I'll let you guys have some good ones. So, all right, we're done here. We got about 20 seconds left in the show because we'll stay right here for the race itself. And then, of course, after the race, we have our full post-race show with Chris with his microphone to get all the response and reaction from everybody. Thanks for tuning in this morning, and we'll talk to you after the race.